Hello, today the Miracles Tribe has a special treat for you. I'm Theresa McGallicher, joined here by my partner, Carly Judd Hardy, and we are presenting a series of video recordings on people whose lives have been positively transformed by their practice of A Course in Miracles. So Carly is going to give you a brief bio on our guest, Dr. Seema Khaneja, and take it away, Carly.
Thank you so much, Theresa, and a warm welcome to you, Seema. What a treat it is for us to have you here today. And yes, and I'll just tell you a little bit about this extraordinary woman's life. Seema Khaneja graduated from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City and completed her residency in pediatrics at New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center. During medical school and after residency, she studied various complementary healing modalities, including Ayurvedic nutrition, mind-body medicine, yoga, and meditation. For 10 years, Seema practiced holistic medicine, caring for children and adults with a focus on chronic physical and mental health challenges. She facilitated numerous classes in meditation, stress management, and holistic medicine for medical students at the University of Rochester Medical School, as well as the local lay community in Rochester, New York, where she resides. She was born in India and spent her early years there. She studied spiritual teachers in Hindu and the Buddhist tradition, and then she is also a student of A Course in Miracles. So she completed a 2-year online mystical mind training through Living Church Ministries and became a commissioned minister in the spring of 2019. She created coaching for inner peace to help clients move through emotional and physical health challenges using their inner spiritual resources in a way that is deeply transformative and immensely practical. So with that introduction, and I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add, Seema. We know that you have a beautiful book that has been published, and you can tell us about that. But we welcome you to our tribe.
Thank you so much. I'm just really so delighted to be with both of you, and just delighted at the work you're doing, and this collaboration of how we can just share all the blessings that we've received in our practice with those that feel, a resonance with these teachings. So having said that, I guess I'd like to talk about when I first found the Course in Miracles. And I remember I was a medical student. I was probably in my early 20s. And I had this deep yearning ever since I started medical school to go deeper with healing. I didn't really know what that meant, but there was something inside me that said there has to be more. This can't be it. There has to be more. And there wasn't much forums within medical school at that time. I was always the oddball out. My medical buddies would be like, oh, there she goes again, doing her thing, and, the mind and psychosomatic medicine, all of this stuff. So I found the Course in Miracles. I remember it was a Barnes and Noble on Lexington and 86. I still kind of remember where it was in Manhattan. And it was 3 volumes then. It was still the old-fashioned 3 volumes. And I had read Jerry Jampolsky, Love is Letting Go of Fear. And so he kept referencing the Course in Miracles. I'm like, what is this book? What is this book? So I found it. And I had just gotten a stipend of money for medical, that you get. So I just spent it on books. And that was one of the books I bought. So I bought it home and I started reading it. And I had such a reaction to it. There was a part of it that was just oh my gosh, this is home. I could just feel something is here. And then the other part was put this book away, stay away. This is going to change your lives in ways that you are not ready for. Just close the book and put it away. So I had kind of that's the reaction I had. And so the book stayed with me. As you can imagine, you're in medical school, then residency, and then life takes you to all these different places. You misplace things, you lose things. Those books never left me. I never left, so there was some kind of a destiny, I would say, right? So they stayed with me. They stayed with me, and I kind of continued my path. Doing as you shared, finishing medical school, finishing residency, and there was just this calling. Something would push me, and I was like lucky. I was blessed that my motivation to go into medicine wasn't like money. That wasn't the motivation. That was a blessing. So I just kind of followed it to study homeopathy, to study yoga, do a yoga teacher training, Ayurvedic medicine, Bach flower remedies. I was just the gamut. Whatever called to me, I was there. And then I was like taking part of it, like meaning I would go to homeopaths for my own, healing, and then I would be sharing it. So it was a very authentic journey. Like everything was being lived, taught, studied, all of that. But I was reaching sort of a breaking point. Like I had studied so much. I was in my 40s by now. I had gone through a very difficult divorce, raising my son as a single parent. And then, he was like maybe 8, 9, 10, something like that. And then I went through this really difficult situation with a friend where we had this falling out, and it was so painful. I remember it was like so painful. I couldn't stop crying. It was so painful. And none of the tools I had were working. And I had a lot of tools by that time. I mean, I'd really studied a lot of stuff. So it wasn't like I was without tools, but it wasn't working. It wasn't working. And I couldn't seem to find someone else to understand it. Like the pain was so, so deep. And so I had the books. I'm looking at where they are in my basement. They were there. And I just came downstairs and I reached for the books. And I say I picked them up and I never put them down. They spoke to me now in a way like my mind was ready. It was just ready. And I almost felt like I needed to go through those life experiences to be ripe, and it's not to say that we have to go through suffering, but I do feel if we find ourselves, like if you're listening to this and you find yourself in a space of suffering, don't blow it away. Don't blow it away. Let it work on you. Let it work on you. It's going to lead you. Like Rumi says, through the wound is where the light's going to enter. And that's kind of what happened for me. The light entered. And this time I had the wherewithal to find a teacher, to find a Course in Miracles local teacher. And I was blessed. She was like 20 minutes away from my office, So I found her, and I just did every workshop she offered. And through her, she led me through, David Hoffmeister, and I did Lisa Natoli's course. So I kind of just felt like I was in this university and I was just going to take all the courses I could, because I really didn't know like what was going to resonate, what was not. But I just knew that this book was like my teacher. Something about it was like, this is it. Because there had been so much, I would call it like this shadow work. And so I had done a lot of spirituality, positive psychology, all of that, but those deeper areas, those deeper pockets of pain, that just, I don't know, they were still walled off, they were still walled off. And I probably just didn't feel safe to do that deeper healing. But once the course came, and I remember being in this circle with my Course in Miracles teacher, and there were 5 women or 6 women, and they were all like beautiful professionals and doing great work in the world. And here we were talking, and one woman was saying how unworthy she felt. And I'm like, oh my God, we can talk about this. I was like, wow, this is great. Because finally the persona was off, and what we're really feeling could be discussed. And I remember that moment, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I'm not alone with these, the so-called the demons and the dragons that lurk beneath the facade of, I've got it all together. I've got this, I can organize this, I can take care of this, I can manage this. This was lurking. So for me, that invitation was so potent. And I remember my teacher showing me this picture, and she said, like, think about this mind. Here's the mind. Here's the superficial, like what 5% that we're aware of. Then there's deep, dark, unconscious, deep, dark. And that's the part we don't want to go. But then she said, the light is underneath that. And that just stayed with me. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to have to go through that. That's what it's going to have to be. If I want the light, I can't stay up here with like, just like, life is good. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to affirm my way through this day. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be spiritual. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. And I'd been trying it with this pain I was experiencing, and it wasn't working. So in a sense, personally, I was ready. Then the teacher came in, and I could see it. Yep, that was what it is. This is for me. And then even professionally, I was feeling like I was reaching a place where I was working so deeply with people and, you know, doing homeopathy, and my intakes would be hours long, and all of their suffering they were sharing, and they would often feel here was where they could share their whole story, you know, all of it, the psychological, the emotional, the physical, the medical, the family, the social, everything could be shared. And so just that was so therapeutic. So I could feel that I had to go even deeper. You know, like I knew stuff about mind-body medicine. I had done training in mind-body medicine at Harvard, at this Mind-Body Institute. I mean, I had done all of that, but something else. There was still like something that I hadn't gotten it. And basically the Course in Miracles was like my manual. Like it was like, okay, you have a question, you're going to find the answer. You have this, you're going to find it. And I would think like, wow, this person, you know, as we know the story of you know, Jesus sharing this person knows my mind, every nook, every cranny, every corner, you know, this person knows. And so there's nothing for me to hide. You know, I'm in good hands. And so I just like literally gave myself over to it because it just spoke so deeply on every level. And so basically that started a journey of eventually releasing, at that time, my integrative medicine homeopathy practice. And a lot of people, my clients, were sad to see me go, but it was like there was just this inner calling, and I was like, you know, I'm going to be back, but I'm going to be back in a new way, and I'm going to serve you, but I've got to, you know, I've got to chart this own thing. It's like the hero's journey with Joseph Campbell, right? You've got to kind of separate and gather your own, and then you come back and integrate. So that took the form of coaching for inner peace. So that began, I'd say, 2015 or so. So maybe about 5 years or so, maybe a little bit before that. And so coaching for inner peace just came in. Like I was looking, I knew the website had to change, and I was doing different work, and it just dropped in, coaching for inner peace. And around that time that dropped in, the old website crashed. Like there was some issues with it. So it was like, wow, when spirit works, there's no, you know, it's clear. It's very clear. So I could tell, okay, this is it. And so coaching for inner peace is what I do now. And basically, I've gone through my own journey with, I talked about the emotional pain, but I had some experience with physical pain, and that inner peace, that was the key, inner peace, and how to direct our mind to inner peace amidst whatever is happening. Like being in the eye of the storm when there's this storm, how do you do it? You can't wait for the storm to pass. I mean, in a sense, you can say you can wait for it, but you have to wait in peace. You know, how do you be at peace? How do you, and what does that mean? It doesn't mean suppressing and pretending it's not happening, but it was just a way of being that my mind was ready to learn. Like that was the component that I felt was missing. And then the form of what the healing would look like, well, that's not in my hands. That's for the spirit to orchestrate. So once I got that peace, that allowed for a healing of my own physical pain. And then I knew this needed to be shared. So that led to the writing of the book, Physician Heal Thyself, A Doctor's Journey from Medicine to Miracles. And the subtitle is, you know, a mindful approach to healing based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles. So that book itself was a huge journey. The book is available now. It's on Amazon. It was I actually self-published it January of this year. And as that book kind of came into fruition, we had the whole pandemic hit. It was like in March, you know, the whole pandemic hit. And I had become a minister with Living Church Ministries a year before, but it was like in the closet. Like you don't want to really talk about that stuff. Like, oh my gosh, you're a minister now? Like, what are you doing? You know? So I was feeling a little like, that's, although the calling was there, you know, I had said yes to it. And when the pandemic hit, then I joined with some mighty companions, and I could feel that as a physician, as someone who practiced integrative medicine, you know, as a mother, as a daughter, like all these different roles, that I had something to share that could be, that there was something to be shared, you know, about this experience, how to look at it differently, how to be with this experience in a different way. So that I did this whole set of Corona circles, like 21 days of daily circles where people gathered actually from all over the world just to create this safe space and community. So that was such a blessing because it helped me to fully step into this role of a minister of peace, a minister of healing, still having all those other roles, but seeing that the essence of it was this like ministry of like how to join with my brothers and sisters in healing, which was what I had been searching for since I was a medical student, basically. So that came full circle. And then, you know, as I went deeper and deeper, Mary Magdalene's teachings came into my awareness, actually before the pandemic hit. But it was just like a book I'd read, but something just again pulled me. And I kind of am one of these, I just follow it. If something is pulling me, I just trust it. I trust it's put there for a reason. And so as I went deeper with her teachings, we talk about the divine feminine, and growing up in India, gods and goddesses are, you know, that's just part of what we're raised. Those are the stories we hear when we go to bed. We're in the middle of a celebration right now. And so ancient mythology will be retold and all of that. I'm actually watching something because I felt this inspiration to go back. So that's just such a part of us. And so Mary Magdalene, I felt, became the symbol of that wisdom, of the guide. And I want to keep going. Are we good with time? I'm not sure.
Please share with us.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so what happened there, as I understand it, is someone wrote me an email on my newsletter list, and she said, because, you know, I've been writing more about Mary Magdalene, and she said, have you given up on ACIM? Like, what's going on? And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. Have I given up on ACIM? But if we realize, if we go to the last lessons, you know, the last lessons talk about there will not be any more formal lessons, right? You've done the year of lessons, 365 days. Now we entrust you to your inner guide. And your inner guide, your inner wisdom will now be in charge. The lessons will continue, right? But it may not be these formal lessons, right? So I felt like that's what happened for me. It's like, after working with the Course so deeply with Jesus, it was like, okay, now we're going to give you to Mary Magdalene because she's got to do the rest now. So she's going to be in charge. And so I just gave myself to her. I call her Maggie. Like, that's the name I use for her because she's so, she's like a sister. She's not like a sister. She is a sister. Some people, again, one of my readers didn't like that. And he was like, how can you make that like Maggie? That's too personal. It's the Magdalene. It has to be the Magdalene. Magdalene means tower. She certainly is a tower for sure. But the way she came to me was, I want to be so intimate with you that you will hide nothing. You know, like a sister, right? You have like a slumber party and you just talk it all, right? You just share everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever, you know, you talk it all. So that's my connection with her. And so as I'm leaning into her, she's helping me go even deeper with the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And so what does she bring that perhaps I wasn't experiencing before? And I guess we can say that could be the archetype of the divine feminine. I would say there's like a softness, there's a gentleness that comes in. And I was listening to something from Cynthia Bourgeault. She's written this very famous book about Mary Magdalene. She's considered, you know, one of the world-renowned experts on Mary Magdalene. And I was listening, and she was saying about how Jesus, before he met Mary Magdalene, was coming out of this very ascetic path. But then when Mary Magdalene came, it changed the whole landscape, you know, and many believe they were in relationship together. So I feel that Mary Magdalene, it's so beautiful because if you watched this movie that came out in 2018, 2019, I did a retreat on that movie. It's such a profound movie. If you watch her, she leaves her home to follow Jesus. She's one of the only women following him. You know, these are totally before her time to do these things. And then she has this love for him as her teacher, as her beloved, and then watches his ministry, assists him, and then watches the crucifixion and watches the rest, right? So wow, if you just look at that human journey, just that is like, oh my goodness, let me just absorb that. But then the one who has walked that journey can walk with you wherever you are. That is the, you know, that's the nugget, because she's seen it. I mean, what has she not seen? What has, like, you know, she's known what it means to be a daughter. She knows, you know, what it is to be a partner. She knows what it is to lose. lose the seeming form, and then to receive the resurrection. So I don't want to leave these ideas like they're up there, because they're not floating ideas. They're like experienced. And so when she guides you, and when you allow the course, the teachings to guide you, they are like that. They are with you where you are, facing whatever you are facing, whatever it looks like. It could look like the most horrible thing in the world, or you might perceive the most horrible suffering in the world. But the invitation is, remember the journey from the crucifixion to the resurrection. The journey doesn't end at the crucifixion. It ends at the resurrection. And so that is where she, is an invitation. Give your mind to me. Give your willingness to me. Give your heart to me. I'm not going to lead you astray. I've got you. Sometimes she'll even say, sister, I've got you. Little one, I've got you. And so she has that real motherly, gentle, like imagine like a blanket of peace. You just, you take a shawl and you just put it around yourself. And maybe you don't even have words for a prayer. You're feeling so distraught by whatever it is. You're crying, you're suffering, your heart's breaking. You just take this blanket of peace around you, and she's got you. She's got you. So I feel it's just an invitation to that experience. It's an experience. And for those, like us, we were having this discussion, you pick up this book and, oh my gosh, it's 1,000 pages long. And some of it is really difficult to understand because it's not for the logical mind. And so it's written at many, many different levels, right? So, you're like, oh my gosh, but it's to unwind this mind that's so complicated, that's so complex, that has so many layers and sub-layers and layers, and to finally get you, as I was saying, beneath all of those cobwebs into the love and light. Because if you're not having whatever practices we're doing, like whether you're a course student or not, or maybe you read this and listen to this and you're never going to pick up the course, it doesn't even matter. Whatever path you're following, it needs to have a heart. It needs to be experienced. It needs to stand the test that it can guide you through whatever you're facing. And if it doesn't, then it's okay. Then keep searching, because maybe there's another, don't give up. Because I feel spirituality has to be practical. It has to help me where I am with what I'm dealing. If it doesn't, then either I'm not applying myself correctly, so I need someone to help me, or maybe this path isn't the one for me, one or the other. And I want to really investigate that. So my encouragement for those who will be listening, we're facing all kinds of challenges right now on all levels, and things are breaking down, things are crumbling, nothing seems steady. Where do you put a foot on? Everything seems to be like, there's no stability. Where do I really lay my head and rest? There doesn't seem to be a place. And that's where we have to go inside. We have to. It's not a luxury. It's like a necessity. We just have to. And we want to find those supports that let us make that journey. So that's what I'm feeling to say. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to do that. Or if you want me to close now in a prayer or blessing, I'm open to whatever you two feel.
Yeah, Seema, so you talked about your journey from practicing Western medicine to incorporating Eastern medicine, and then mind medicine, and then spirituality. And also you said you had this upsetting after your divorce and upset with a friend. And I know that you also had some physical pain issues as well. And I wonder if you could just tell us, in what way has practicing A Course in Miracles really shifted your life? Obviously, it shifted your career path, but how has it changed your personal experience of life?
Yeah. So it really taught me the meaning and how to practice radical forgiveness. Like, that's how I would sum it up. You hear about forgiveness, but how does one really practice it? What does that really mean? And so when I would have upsets, I would work through them with my course teacher, sometimes my course group, in a way of like, okay, I need to take responsibility for my state of mind. That is my responsibility. And now if I take responsibility for my state of mind, then how can I see this differently? How can I relate to this differently? How can I allow myself to go from this pain into peace. Like, what does that look like? And so the course lessons and the joinings all helped to really understand what radical forgiveness means. And then I just started to see people show up for me differently. You know, I just had witnesses, just like my experiences of them showed me that there was love all along, but I had so many filters. I had so many filters. And like it says in the course, you look through this really dark lens. And so what do you see? You see shadows. So the course is like David Hoffmeister says, it's like, rinse, spin, repeat, rinse, spin, repeat, as much as it's needed. So yeah, I found it was very practical to look at the upset, to bring it into the mind, to see the projections, to understand what were the beliefs. I use this tool of levels of mind to go deep into what are the beliefs I'm holding about myself, about this person, about the world. Because if I say it's out there and it's happening to me, then I will choose to be kind of like things are being done to, right? Then I'm sort of a victim. I'm powerless. I'm helpless. And that's a painful place to be. The pain of that is so excruciating because your mind knows that there is another way. We have a memory, however distant it is, we have a memory of peace. We have a memory of God. It's there. Nothing can take that away, but certainly it can get covered. It can get covered with many layers. So, yeah.
So your relationships have transformed as a result of that forgiveness work?
Absolutely. Yeah. This friend and I have a very different relationship now. There's an acceptance. There's an allowance, of what is. Like I said, I went through a divorce, and my relationship with my ex-husband, oh my goodness, it's so healed. There's so much peace. There's so much just collaboration, for my son. And I'd say, my parents, whenever I go visit them, that's always another forgiveness opportunity, another washing, another rinsing. And so then, how can I speak with my mom and express myself if something doesn't, it's not like you're trying to put on this mask, like, oh, I'm spiritual, that doesn't bother me, or, take a bypass. It's more like authentically honest with myself. Watching my mind. I'm upset. This triggered me. I didn't like that. I was really angry there. That really ticked me off, whatever it was. But then, like I said, using that as a starting point and then working through that. So yeah, so I feel a sense of fulfillment. I feel a sense of blessing. I feel a sense of purpose. I feel that my relationships have a purpose that's bigger than them. And so that purpose always leads me. So if there is a seeming whatever comes, then it's like, okay, here's something else that's coming up for healing. And so I did this retreat with 5 other women, and we traveled to Utah to visit David Hoffmeister. And it was funny. So whatever would come up, I'd say, well, it's coming up for mind training. Okay, it's coming up for healing. And they were like, would you stop saying that? I'm like, but it's true. That's what it is. So it became like a mantra. Okay. It's coming up for healing. And now having Mary Magdalene, having Maggie with me, it's like you've got your personal tutor.
Thank you. And then what happened with your physical symptoms?
Yeah, so I share about this in my book. The book is a journey from the young medical student to the evolution of what I'm doing now. And I talk about my teacher, Patty Fields is there. And so my physical pain, it lasted for some years, it probably lasted for a good 5-6 years. And I was parenting then, I was working. It was working at, in a practice. I had a pediatric practice, and my life was really, really hectic. And so I had to do the medical journey. And I never, I wasn't guided not to do that. I had 2 minor surgeries, it was all guided. So I did that. At the same time, I was practicing the course, and it was such a blessing. And like I said, I had a community to support me, like the community you're creating, which is so, so essential to have. I wouldn't recommend to anyone to do this alone. You need your mighty companions with you. So I had that, and I would just get insights. I remember one time when the pain erupted, and I was like, I've done so much on the physical level. I've done alternative medicine, complementary medicine. I've done the medical model, all that. I said, there must be something in the mind, because if it was purely physical, it would have been gone by now. And that was a huge insight. That was a huge insight. Then I had other insights where I would be guided to go watch this movie. Actually, it was a movie of Jesus, the Son of Man, came out like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like dreading, like, oh my gosh, the crucifix, you know how it's going to end, right? So you're like watching, but it was so beautiful. I just saw the resurrection. I didn't see it. I just, that's all my eyes saw. And basically I would just receive these messages letting me know that Spirit had a purpose for me. That I wasn't even a minister then. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I would hear these messages saying, my ministry lies in the resurrection, not in the crucifixion. I'm here. There's work for you. Where are you? Where are you? So these messages would come while this pain and all of this was happening. And so I would just take each message and basically I had this holy instant where I was sitting with this pain and I was praying and I was praying, and I just felt like such a sense of dropping below everything into this space of love. And I felt such love for myself, such love for everything that I had done, all the helpers that had showed up. Like there was just this moment where everything was forgiven. And about 3 weeks later, the pain disappeared after that.
Beautiful.
So it was quite powerful. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Carly, do you want to say a few words? You're muted.
Oh, thank you, Seema. Beautiful, beautiful. We are so appreciative. Yes. And just, yes, it's been wonderful the way you started out in medicine, but there was always something missing. There was something missing for you. There was something that you realized, yes, needed to come from their place. And I did ask before if you would just, to our group, offer a prayer to everyone. I would just, love, or we sometimes call it too, in A Course in Miracles, holding everyone in the light. A blessing that will hold everyone in the light. And we're so grateful to everyone who's brought their heart, who is searching and knows that there must be a better way than the suffering that we've all faced. And once again, if you are suffering, then Seema right now is going to hold you in the light. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're beautiful sisters of my heart. And I'm just honoring the love and light in you and your heart and willingness to show up the way you are. So thank you. Much gratitude for that. And if you are watching this, well, just know nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing happens by accident. You're here for a reason. And just to know that there is so much love and light that is always, always, always available to us. And sometimes I wish I could say always a million times over, because we just need to hear that. And it may not seem that way. You may be seeing something that really is the opposite of what you would define as love or what would feel like love. But I would say, do not depend on the physical eyes. Learn and desire to open your inner vision. Learn and desire with your whole heart that I want to see this in a way that will bring me to peace, restore me to comfort, because inner wisdom, inner spirit, God, whatever name you use, that is your promise to me, which you will fulfill through me, which you will fulfill. And so my part is to kind of hold you to your promise. And what do I mean by that? Our prayer could be, Spirit, convince me you're here. I don't see you, I don't feel you. Convince me, convince my mind that I'm not alone. And that can be so powerful, because your job is just to show up in willingness for that desire for this other way out of suffering. It is the job of Spirit, of God, of love, peace, whatever name you use, to do the rest. So that's it. That's it. So we're here all asking, every one of us is asking to receive those reflections, to receive those experiences in a way that are meaningful to us, because the Spirit knows our minds, the symbols and the signs that are meaningful to us, that convince us without a doubt, and as many times as we need, over and over and over again how precious we each are, how precious, how we have a part to play in this plan of healing, and how there are witnesses to healing that want to join with us and walk with us, like the three of us are joined today, so that we're not alone in this journey. So that is my prayer for every one of us. Thank you.
And please tell everyone where they can find you online, your website, your Facebook.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Seema Khaneja, also Coaching for Inner Peace. My website is coachingforinnerpeace.com.
Well, we've been really blessed to have you as our guest today, and we really appreciate the time that you took to share with everyone your journey. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much. Much love and much blessings. Thank you so much.
Yes, much love. Thank you. Yeah.